All right, everyone, let's get started. All right, so today I'm going to be not talking from the Black Book. Um, I think I'll take a break from the Black Book for a little bit. I'm going to be doing some other stuff. And today I'll be covering, um, you know, Seattle in 2030, a past life, the Soul's End game, the uh, some human suffering thoughts, and how we can naturally release karma and a few other stuff. So, first thing, uh, Seattle in 2030. This was a vision that I had in, it was recently, it was April 28th, this year, 2023. And I was dropped right in the front of this big bar downtown. And I had the feeling I was in Seattle in the future, right? I had a feeling it was in 2030. The bar was massive. It had an Irish sounding name, like I think it was like Finns or something. And it was right next to some transit stop. There were these big, huge, like green bars, like just really monstrous, like green bars that ran along the side of the road. I couldn't tell if they were art or if it was for the transit. I went across a huge crosswalk over to this small mini plaza. Um, it was like a bunch of mini malls, and so it wasn't one big mall; it's like a bunch of mini malls, and the parking lots were huge. There were it was like some space for car parking, and the rest seemed to be like areas for people to use their motorized vehicles. Right? I guess in the future in Seattle, 2030, there's a lot more of these motorized vehicles, and so many people had different kinds of motorized vehicles. Some were more scooter like, some where you sit, some where you stand, all sorts of these little motorized vehicles to get around. And many young men had kinds where you can do tricks with them. So there's like these some of these scooters or things that were like popular young men were doing tricks and stuff in the parking lot areas. Um, they were doing all kinds of tricks with them in that area. And I think it's also at this point where I got another feeling of this is like 2030 Seattle. I wanted to ask somebody else, like some other person there, to confirm it was 2030. So I walked up to people getting out of their cars and people in the parking lot for the date. Um, and I had this clever idea of claiming that I had a bad memory and forgot things easily, right? And they said things like, "You mean you need something like 1990 or 2000?" I said, "Yeah, I need today's date in the year." Um, and I got the feeling that they didn't know either, and they got embarrassed. It was like, I don't know. It's like people did just were just ignorant of stuff, and they just didn't know things anymore. It was like a dumbing down of people. It's like people just, I don't know, people just didn't know basic things anymore. They didn't even care. They just didn't know. It was like they just totally forgot or didn't care. I don't know. Um, and they got embarrassed when they couldn't come up with like today's date. And some even got mad for having me for even asking. And one girl ran away acting like I was a creep because I had a bad memory. It was so weird. It was like I asked for the date and she got embarrassed and was like, because out of her embarrassment she just said, "Oh, you're a creep for coming up like acting this way and walking up and saying I got a bad memory, and it's a creepy thing to say." I don't know. It's really weird. But that was just a short little glimpse of Seattle in 2030. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is this past life, this past slash parallel life, right? As a BMX biker, I was bombing down suburban hills, like just freely without a care in the world. And I was jumping over everything in my way. And this experience really taught me a lot. I learned a great deal from this experience. Like, I learned that the only way to survive, right, going down this hill, like bombing down these hills, was to be in the moment as much as possible. If I thought about the dangers in any way, if I thought about the dangers in any way, I would get out of the moment and I would crash and possibly die. You know, it was a forceful way of letting go and trusting my higher self, trusting my nature, my passion, my love, and in a thrill of biking, of BMX. Right, there's no set course. This is on the street. There's no time to react. Um, if I had to take a sharp left to avoid an oncoming car or squeeze between, which in this dream slash experience, past parallel life, there was a fire hydrant on the side of the street. There's a fire hydrant, sidewalk, and then a fence, but there wasn't much room. Um, and I had to squeeze between it at a high rate of speed. And right, so I had to just be able to just be in the now and move accordingly to get past these obstacles, whatever it is, a car or some branch or whatever it is, a person. I had to just be in the now, right? No matter the obstacle, I immediately knew what had to be done. You have to know what has to be done in order to survive, to live, to not crash. And like the greater the obstacle, like the greater the faith required. Like if it was small, I was okay. It's okay if I can, don't do a perfect, job. But the more lethal the thing was, I really had to be in the now if I was going to survive it. So I had to just do it and commit. And I feel like that's what taught me about this sort of like, what's the reason for faith? This experience taught me a lot about, faith and being in the now are very tied together, right? So faith is really important in this life because, as I've talked about before, it's so important to be in the now, to just be in the now, be your authentic self in the now and surrender to this reality. And doing that means having faith in the now, right? When you're in the now, right, you're not planning something. The ego wants to plan, like it has to control something. When you're in the now, you're in this spontaneous field of infinite possibility. And when there's infinite possibility, that's a lot of unknowns. And we have all these unknowns. It means you have to have faith that things are just going to be okay. Have faith that you don't know what's going to happen, and you just have to have faith that it's going to turn out okay. That means having faith in your higher self and your guides, and that everything will be okay if you just surrender to this love, which is the state of now, and the state of love, right? The flow state is a state of love. If you surrender to now, if you have faith in the now, faith that everything will be okay, then you'll see that the universe will just feed you whatever it is you need right now, every second, everything you need. You'll just flow through your life path, flow through reality, right? So it's so important to have faith. So, right, faith and the now are tightly connected. So, I learned that if I just trusted myself and stayed in the now, had faith, stayed in my highest excitement, I would be fine no matter what. And it worked, right? So many times I was faced with split decisions about simply colliding or doing something or doing the impossible. And each time the impossible was made possible, right? The impossible, if I had any kind of fleeting thought about the impossible, right, which is the ego mind saying, "Oh, this is impossible, no way," right? I had to trust myself and say, "Nope, just have faith, stay in the now, and it's going to work out if you just commit, 100% commit to what you're doing and know that it's going to work, right? Have faith that it's going to work, then it will work, right? Stay in that highest excitement in the now, and things will be fine." And it always worked, right? Staying in the now always works, right? So many times I was faced with these decisions, like, am I going to hit or not? And if I just stayed in the now, it worked out, right? The impossible was made possible, right? If I had the thought of the ego saying impossible, then I gave faith and committed to the now, it became possible. And the more I just stayed in the possible, there were no thoughts of the impossible, right? The more I stayed in the now, the ego goes away, and you're just living in infinite possibility, not, feeling of possibility and sometimes impossibility. You're just living in infinite possibility, not impossibility. Right. So I was going max speed down this suburban hill and narrow and it that narrowed with parked cars on either side. Um, and the driver's side door of a parked car, there was this car down the hill, and I was bombing down the hill, and the driver's side door that was parked on the right hand side, um, it, it it swung open, only giving me like a second or two to react. Like so, I was bombing down, and then it, right as I was about to get to the car, the door opened. I had like just a second, right, and there wasn't much I could do. Like what are you gonna do? Like the ego mind says you're just gonna crash, you're gonna die. Um, and but I stayed in the now. I said have faith and stay in the now, and I stayed and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna have faith in myself and the now and just stay here, and I know the answer will come to me, and it did. As soon as it opened, I didn't panic. I stayed in the now. I didn't let the ego get a hold of the situation. I stayed in the now, had faith, and the ego disappeared, and the now told me, right, this eternal now, right, the faith in the now said, jump over it. And if I would have let the ego come back and say, no, you can't jump over that, that's way too high, I have to jump over the entire door. In order to get past the situation, you have to jump over the door. That's impossible. That's what the ego would say. But I stayed in the now. And so when the now told me, jump over the door, I just said, okay, right? I didn't let the ego say impossible. I just said, do it. And the impossible, and that impossible was made possible. I jumped right over that door. It's like my body and my everything was like, it was like the now gave me everything I needed to do to jump over it. It was like I fully committed, and my body on its own did it, right? Because when you're in the now, you're in the zone and you're not thinking about what you're doing, right? When you're in the now, you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're just doing. And that's what happened. It's like the now gave me the ability to just do it. And as I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, how am I doing this? Right? The ego came in because like I realized I'm doing the impossible. And then I said, oh, don't let the ego get attached to it, because then you'll get too invested in the ego, and then how are you going to land, right? So I remember I said, I got a quick little thing like I'm doing the impossible thing. Oh, don't think about it, just stay here, and I landed. So it reminds you have to always stay in that now, right? And the impossible is possible. So I reacted uh, and in the right way, stayed in the now, and yeah, I jumped, and you could say miraculously, but it's not a miracle when you're in the now. That's what the now does. It does these beautiful things. So that was the number 2, a BMX biker past parallel life. The other thing I want to talk about is how to naturally release karma, right? So part of why we are blanked out of our past life memories, right? Our past lives are erased in this duality realm, right? Um, our memories are erased is because we would constantly be stuck in the past. If you knew all your past lives, you'd be always thinking about those past lives, and it would be so much harder to stay in the present moment, right? I mean, think about it. Just you having access to memories of what you did a few seconds ago, a day ago, a year ago. I mean, maybe some big mistakes you made in your life already. This life you have. Can you imagine if you remembered all the hundreds and hundreds of things you did that were much bigger? Like maybe you killed people, or maybe you did all these big things. Maybe you blew up a building. I don't know what you did, right? You did a lot of right. I don't want to say evil. A lot of disconnecting people from love. If you did a lot of negative things, right? Negative energy. If you introduce a lot of negative energy, you'd be hard on yourself and say, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And that would take you out of the now, right? So it's really good that we don't have those memories of our past lives, because we'd be taken out of the now in this life, and then it'd be much harder to do this life. So it's really good that we don't have those past life memories. So why do I have them? Well, I believe I have them is because I'm possibly a light worker. I can't confirm that, but I feel like I am. I haven't gotten any message from my guide saying I am or I'm not. I've always had a feeling that I've become a light worker. I've done a lot of negative things far in the past when I was a god in Egyptian times, which I'll talk about in a bit. But I I either am currently repaying that debt, or I've already repaid that debt and became a light worker and came back to help be a pioneer here in this time of ascension to help raise the vibration of everybody. So in order to do that, I need to have access to my past lives, because in order for me to be talking about this stuff, I have to be able to have access to my past lives at a certain time in certain ways from my guides and higher self, so that I can extract it, learn from it, and become sort of, I don't want to say teacher. No, I don't want to be egotistical here, but I want to, so that I can learn from everything I did and share it. I think if you're at a low vibration, having access to your past lives is going to be very hard on you. But I think since I was already at a higher vibration, or a high enough vibration when I incarnated here this time, I could much more easily deal with my past lives and not let it weigh me down, because that's what I was meant to be doing. I was meant to be able to tap into that stuff and to take it out and understand what it's all about and go, okay, it's okay, Dom, because I'm slowly getting access to what I did previously, but I'm not letting it get to me, because I know that that was what happened. I learned from it, and it's part of who I am. I'm not letting it weigh me down. So, my being here in this incarnation is able to much more easily deal with past life memories, right? So if somebody from lower vibration, if a being had a lower vibration here, and they had access to the past life memories, they would be constantly mad, bitter, angry at themselves for what they did or didn't do, right? They wouldn't be able to focus on the present experience, on the now, on their current life. And they might be too focused or hyperfixated on trying to remove karma from past lives in their current life. Um, um, but if we simply do what we are supposed to do in this life, associated, related, or linked, associated, related, or linked past karma will be automatically lifted. You say, so don't get too hyperfixated on removing karma. If you just simply do what you're supposed to do in this life, all the karma that you have accrued, the debt that you have accrued, will be automatically lifted. Okay, because everything's connected, right? All decisions, interactions, conversations, all the actions and things that you do in this life are connected across all your past/parallel lives. And in fact, everything in existence on the highest scale is all connected, right? So you do not need to map out, you don't have to map out all the ways your karma is connected, or what you specifically need to do in this life to relieve or release karma from a past/parallel life. Just be your authentic self in the now, and you will see your passion and authentic nature, and be in love and joy because of that. And when you're in this state, right, in your authentic self in the now state, you'll be perfectly connected to your grand plan for this incarnation that you planned before you came here. You will be unconsciously and consciously acting according to plan and naturally releasing and removing karma as you progress through this plan, right? Through all your ups and downs, through all your so-called, right, mistakes. How I think about mistakes, right? In a state of fear, there are no mistakes, only detours back to love. And when in a state of love, there are no mistakes, only shortcuts to your highest self, highest goal. So through all your so-called mistakes and triumphs, you will release all the karma from your past/parallel lives. All right, so that's a little bit about releasing karma naturally. Now, I'll give you a little bit of, I'll share a little bit of experience about me and how I've released karma naturally through my incarnation and understanding my past parallel lives. So for me, naturally to me is when for my incarnation, not for everybody, but for my incarnation, learning about my past parallel lives is a way for me to learn about it, know what I did, and then let it go, forgive myself. right? Not everybody can do that, right? If you had access, if you had a low vibration, and you had access to your past parallel lives, when you got the information of what you did, it may weigh you down, and you couldn't release it. You just feel like crap, right? You couldn't forgive yourself. But I'm able to know what I did and forgive myself, and that's how I'm able to forgive myself in my natural way in this incarnation. So I've always struggled with these, like, a deep-seated anger, some sort of this deep-seated negative energy that's been inside of me. And it's sort of like this tiny fragment in me that is really hyper. I don't know. It's really this deep-seated secret anger, right? This negative energy is inside me, and I never knew what it was, right? But now I know why I've always, well, not the complete reason, but one of the reasons why I've had this secret anger. So I'm slowly getting these little reasons and these visions and experiences of my past parallel lives, to know why it is that I'm feeling that way, and so I could take it, so I can learn about it and release it and let it go, and slowly remove that piece of anger I had in there, right? So here's one of the reasons why that I've had this little piece of secret anger. This anger was not related to anything in my current life, right? Okay, this is because I've had it since I was a kid. I know it's because I've had it since as long as I can remember, since I was a child, right? And I've had it even when I was in good moods. It's always been there since I was a little kid. Good mood or bad mood, it's always been there. Right, and this anger has caused issues in my current life. Nothing terrible, but it has put me, in sick moods, causing me to have disturbing thoughts of violence and vengeance. Primarily vengeance. I wanted revenge on something, but I didn't know what. I wanted to punish those that have wronged me and others. This was the primary source of my really for my material when I did my raps. So I'd say I used to be. I still do some rapping sometime for fun, but I used to be a gangster rapper. A hardcore gangster rapper, horrorcore rapper, rapping about dark things, right? And when I had this deep seated anger, I would use that as a primary source of my material when I would rap, right? Rapping about, most of my songs and tracks were filled with violence and gore because it was an easy way to share that feeling I had inside of me through rapping. And it was about the gore and all the things I wanted to do to people. It was how I released my tension, released this secret hatred, right? Holes in the sealed chamber for darkness to breathe. Think about it that way, right? Before I was shown my past life, I was tested. Okay, yet again, I've been tested. I've been tested recently. Since beginning 2022, I've been. Oh, look at that. See, I just looked at the clock. What is it? 11:22. See, as you can see, I'm in the now, and when you're in the now, you just go to the clock, and it's 11:22. Yeah, I want to show you that. You see that? So I'm not just saying it. It's literally 11:22. Okay. Did I get it? Let me see here. I can. So I guess you did see it when I did change it. Yeah, I wasn't looking at the screen. So you see here, when I say stuff, I'm being honest. I'm not just making it up. You got to be in the now. When you're in the now, that's where you're going to catch these signs, these things coming into you. Things are just things. When you're not in the now, your ego mind's going to be blocking all the natural signals, right? Because the ego is the noise. When you remove the ego, the signal is there. That's when you're going to catch the signs. Your guides and your higher self have always been sending you hints of signs. Hey, pay attention. Here's repeating patterns. Here's this. There's something going on here. I'm trying to give you hints. It's trying to gently awaken you to what you really are, what you're supposed to do. But if you're stuck in the ego, it's just like this haze over you, right? And it's all that noise that's blocking the signal. Remove the ego, be in the now, and right, the signal will be right there, and you can see me. I just caught it. This came to me, right? Be in the now. This signal will appear. It's always been there, but it'll appear to you. Right. So since 2000. 22, beginning of last year, I've been, you know, cracked wide open in terms of spirituality. I've had hundreds of experiences, but that's since 2022 until now. So right, a little over a year now, I've been getting like really cracked open, like really intense, nonstop past lives, nonstop information and concepts from base reality, absolute reality, home, whatever you want to call it, hologram, well, actually beyond the hologram, of this world, this realm, but the ultimate, in a sense, ultimate absolute reality. Um, so I've been getting tested, and each time I pass the test, I get granted I get more past lives, and I get more information. It's like I have to prove to myself that I'm ready for this stuff. Each time I prove to myself that I'm ready, then I get more information. Why 2022? I think it's because we're going through this great ascension right now, and there's we've been getting bombarded with this waves of light, and people being cracked open, and all the light workers and everybody are getting cracked open at this time to help um, you know uh, other spirits ascend, basically raise to a higher vibration. you know okay, little detour there, right? Okay, but so right this time yet again, I was tested by my own guides, right? And I only know after the fact that I was tested. I didn't know then that I was being tested, right? So I was dropped into an everyday grocery store in the States. This could have been like a Safeway or the like, something like that. I don't remember the details too much, but I remember that things were set up in such a way that I could steal things without being caught. Right? I could be mischievous and not get caught. That's right. But I decided to pay for things with the money I had. That means I couldn't get all the things I wanted. Right? In fact, it meant that I couldn't really get much, if I was honest. Yeah, maybe a couple of pieces of candy or something like that. But I wanted to do what was right. Right. I wasn't a child. I was a full-grown adult. Right. I walked up and paid at the register with the little money I had. Right. So there's something you also have to know about me. I wanted to pay even though I had godlike power. Right. This was something they'd given me. Not only was it perfectly set up for me to steal, I had incredible godlike power. Right? I could have taken everything in the store from them if they liked it or not. Right? I didn't need I didn't need things to be set up for me. It's like you can do whatever you want. You have all this power. Do whatever you want. But are you going to do the right thing with all that power? Right? So looking back now, this is an interesting twist to the test. The test wasn't simply to see if I would steal; it was to see how I would use my power. You know, I was to see, it was to see if, it's like I was to see if God would steal if given the opportunity. It's kind of that concept. Would God steal if he had the chance, right? Um, and they made me God and said, "Would you steal?" As soon as I paid, there was some familiar voice next to me. It asked me why I paid as if I should have just stolen what I wanted, right? Like, why did you pay? You could have just stolen it. And I replied by saying that it wasn't right. In fact, I kind of scolded the voice for talking about all the reasons why it's good to pay regardless. I said, it's like, hey, like you just got to pay. It's the right thing for X and Y reasons. You just got to do this. Da, da, da. So I was saying, like, what are you talking about? Of course you got to pay, right? And then right after that, I felt a good vibe run through me, and I got up and did a dance number. It's like as soon as I said that, as soon as I stood up for what was right, I said, "You just gotta do it, regardless if you have power or not." And I, was scolding this voice. It's like I got charged. It's like that's like maybe the voice is when the guide, my higher self, said, "Okay, good job," and kind of gave me the energy charge, like, "Woohoo, there you go." And then I just felt like dancing, and I got up and did a little dance number. I ran up the walls with, I ran up the walls with sunglasses on, singing into a mic some song about how it's good to be good and to do the right thing. I was so over the moon that I accidentally tore out part of some cables that ran along that ran along the wall inside the store. I told the clerk that ran up to me that I would fix it immediately. I'd fix it right away. And she asked how long it would take, and I said maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. And so she ran off to update the manager on this. But I think so, or maybe this was also a test to see how I would behave. I wasn't really sure. But what was it also a test that I would, after I accidentally broke it, how would I respond to accidentally breaking something in the store, despite being excited? Being excited, it had a little accident. How would I handle that situation? Own up to it, say I'm sorry, I'll fix it. So maybe that was a test too. I'm not really sure. But right after this, I was flooded with various past parallel lives where I was berated and bullied by my brothers. Okay, so this is when I started to realize this was a test, and I passed the test, and because I passed it, I have access. I'm granted access to certain select past parallel lives that will help once I experience them, help me understand them, understand what happened, and forgive myself to release karma. Right? It's like it gave me ability to release karma by saying, here's a past life, release your karma, you earned it. You earned a way to kind of pay off some debt in a sense, right? And so in order for me to be this person who shares these things, it's like I have to go through my own trials in order to be able to share these things honestly. It's like I feel like not everybody can share this stuff. You have to be in the right state, the right vibration in order to share things honestly. If you're going to share things from the absolute, you have to be at a higher vibration. You have to have very little ego, and you have to pass all these little tests to be able to share certain things. It's not like they give me everything at once and I share it. It's like I pass a test, they give me a little piece. I pass a different test, they give me a different little piece. Each test is associated with a different piece of information that I'm able to share. I have to earn what I share. Because before, in the beginning, past 15, 20 years, I just had random stuff, right? Different things, right? The inventions, ideas, some very little of the past life stuff, right? Not as much. A lot of different stuff, about the absolute reality. But it wasn't until recently that it's like I pass a specific test and I get a specific past life. It's like, or I get specific actual understanding about deeper things about absolute reality. Because in the early days, I didn't have concrete, ideas about, how things were working. I had this sort of general stuff. But as I progressed and got cracked open the past year and a half, it's like I've gotten really specific things from them and from my higher self and guides about what's really going on, and specific experiences with my past lives. And so right after I passed the test, I was flooded with various past parallel lives, various, so it's not just one but many different past parallel lives, like tons of these things, where it was like different brothers, different families, right? Not just the same, it wasn't Jacob. They had, it wasn't the infinite parallel lives of Jacob. It was a different incarnation, a parallel incarnation of where I had brothers that would bully me, that always berated and bullied me. Right, one past life, stood out in particular, and it was the last one that I saw, the last past parallel life I saw. I was shown various scenes of where my two older brothers would bully me quite harshly. And I was considerably younger than them, maybe 5 to 10 years younger. And they were close in age and thinking. They were two older brothers, very close in age, and I was really young. They had a close bond. They understood each other, but neither of them understood me even a single bit. Right? They had no idea. I was like the runt. They didn't know what I was, and they just didn't understand me. I was just so different. I was younger and different. I didn't fit in with them in the family, right? They thought I was some alien creature that didn't belong in the family, and I embarrassed them, and because of that, they would physically hit me or mentally abuse me all the time, any chance they got. And they would go see, it would even go so far as to fake drown me in muddy water outside, right? Like, put my head in the water and like, oh, like, oh, you're drowning, right? It wasn't very fun. This lasted for many years until until I devised a plan. Now I said many years. Think about this here. So many years in that incarnation. We have to realize I had infinite incarnations, parallel incarnations, of this type of activity happening, right? So one incarnation, you have many infinite streams of potentiality that are happening at the same time. So I had potentially lots of these different types of scenarios playing out on me, right? So not just that incarnation, but all the parallel versions of that incarnation. And it's just one, right? There are many other types of things, visions at different times that was shown that relate to, which I'll talk about, which is like the Egyptian god where I messed up and I got into debt. But there's lots of things that have happened to me that caused me to have anger, maybe. But this is definitely one they said this is directly linked. So this lasted for many years. Them doing all this stuff for me lasted for many years until I devised a plan for revenge. And I went to them, and I went to them and had them agree to take me somewhere. But that somewhere was their own funeral. That was my idea, and they agreed to take me somewhere, but they don't realize that the plan is that they're going to die. But I accidentally said that I accidentally said where we were headed because I was being hit by one of them, and one of them forced it out of me. So one of them was beating me, and they forced what the plan was, and when I told them, they laughed. They didn't seem afraid, right? They said, I said, what do you think you're gonna do? And I said, well, not me. I'm not gonna do it. It's them. They're gonna do it. I said I hired Russian mafia. I hired the Russian mafia to put you both into your own cages with bears, real live bears, and they didn't believe me. They didn't think that I would be able to know anybody like that, right? It sounded made up. I said, I may be ugly, I may be small and stupid, but you're going to pay for the way you've treated me, how you've treated me. I'm not mad. You're the ones that are mad because I figured out a way to get you. I said, I remember saying this quite clear. I said, all I had was a small axe pick, but I did, but I didn't, I think all I had was a small axe pick, but I didn't care how long it took, right? I just kept digging little by little until I hit the right spot, right? I said, all I got to do is find the perfect spot, hit it, and you're shredded. That's what I remember saying that. And this is where the scene ended. I don't know if what I said was true. So you see, I don't know if in the incarnation I just made it up or if I actually did do that. I don't know if I actually went through with it, if that was made up or not. But I remember was how I was treated, and that's how I reacted. And then it ended. So I don't know if what I said was true. I don't know if I ever got my revenge, but I suspect not, since I still have my anger, or maybe that's the other way around. Maybe if I did it, I still have my anger. I'm not sure. I would think that it'd be a little different. I think it's because I just made it up and I didn't actually do it. That because I just wanted to scare them. That I died with the feeling that I was berated and treated like crap my whole life, and I kept that revenge in my heart and my soul. So that's why I had that anger. I suspect that my parallel life is still, that's the thing is that parallel life is still happening right now, or maybe I died. I'm not really sure, but it's all in the same point of time. You see, I think, I think this is because if that fragment died without getting his revenge, then it wouldn't have made it then it wouldn't have made it to heaven, because you have to release all baggage, right? Release all negativity, including revenge, at the gate before departure to heaven, right? So I'm not sure. I do know that in order to go to absolute reality, you have to release. You can't bring any negative energy, right? But that doesn't mean you still don't have a negative soul fragment, a negative energy soul fragment in your soul that will get, like, it's like it's popped out when you're in heaven and it's put back when you incarnate. It's like, you can't bring that negative energy to heaven, right? You have to like leave it at the gate, and then you can depart to heaven. But when you come back from heaven to here, you pick that bag right up at the baggage claim where you left it, and you have that feeling again, right? So I think that's how it works. That might be how it works. I don't have any. I say might because I haven't got any direct communication on it. That's exactly how it works. Only, um, I sort of triangulated or correlated with all my other things that I pieced that together. So, but I haven't got any exact, message that is the case. It's sort of triangulated from my other hundreds of other things that say that that's what's probably happening. Um, um, you know, um, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But that makes the most sense. You know, because maybe that soul fragment, that incarnation, maybe it actually, that soul fragment died. That incarnation that of me died, and and then it didn't realize it died and it's still floating in the astral somewhere, and it's unaware. The other piece of me somewhere is unaware that it's dead. So that's also a possibility. Right? There's lots of things that can happen in this infinite reality. But so why was I shown this, right? I think it was to let me finally understand that, what has been haunting me my whole life in this incarnation, and to give me a chance to heal myself, right? To release the karma. The lesson from both fragments of higher self needed to learn, that needed to learn, was forgiveness. I needed to learn how to forgive myself. You know, I'm supposed to learn how to forgive others that have unjustly harmed me, and also forgive myself. Forgive those that have harmed me for simply being me, for simply being alive. I didn't do anything. They just wanted to harm me because I was different. And I have to learn how to forgive them and forgive myself for feeling this way. Um, you know, there may be more, like I said, there may be more parallel lives causing this feeling. It's probably true. I think it's probably the case, but I think this was a good sample of of why I feel the way I do. And now, because since I know this, I know what to do. I can and will forgive myself, for feeling this way, and forgive others what they have done to me. So that was a big learning lesson for that, right? Um, and now a little bit about suffering. All right, so really, so all suffering, all human suffering, is it's just resistance to the natural, authentic self, resistance to life, resistance to pain, resistance to your journey, right? Pain is part of the dual physical reality. Suffering, but suffering is an experience you can choose. Okay, pain is part of this dual physical reality, this duality, but suffering is an experience you choose. Right? Let the pain go through you in the moment to eliminate and prevent suffering. Okay, so if you experience pain and you don't, and you try to resist to stop the pain. Oh, I don't want to feel the pain. Then you're suffering. You're resisting the now. Pain is, as you know, once you're in pain, it says, "Hey, wake up, be in the now." Is your ego, when you get a lot of pain, is your ego there? No, it's not really there. It's usually, it's the more intense the pain, the less of the ego is there. The more of the now is there. The more pain, the more of the now. Right? It's saying, "Hey, it hurts. You're here right now, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're here right now. You're just experiencing it." And the more you try to stop it, right? Try to stop it. That's the ego trying to stop it. The ego's coming back and saying, trying to say, "I don't want this. I don't want this." The more you do that, the more you're suffering. If you just let the pain go through it, let the experience happen, you won't suffer. You'll just have pain, but you're not going to suffer. Suffering is an experience that you choose, right? The pain will pass. The pain is going to pass. This too shall pass, right? That's what we say in this linear temporary human experience. We say this pain will pass because it's linear. It's going to pass. So just let it flow through you, and you'll experience pain but not suffering. That's a little bit about suffering and pain. Now, I want to quickly talk about this is something I learned about. I call it tilting your vibration, right? Okay, so you always want to tilt your vibration back to positive. How I've always said that absolute reality is basically it's just pure positivity, right? Perfect, unconditional love, positivity, right? So you always want to tilt back to positive after any negative energy creation work. That means anything that's related to negative energy. This could be things like this is not just watching, consuming stuff. Like if you're not just watching horror stuff, not just watching anything that is about negative things, negative energy, negative concepts and ideas, negative things. But also when you are creating something, right? Negative energy creation work, like let's say you are horror writing, maybe like I used to do, like I said before, I used to do like dark horror, gory rap music writing. So anything you do that's associated with negative energies, maybe you are going maybe you're a ghost hunter, right? And you're going to these haunted places. You're trying to find negative energy, right? Negative spirits, lost spirits, low vibrational things, entities, low vibrational entities and spirits. Absolutely make sure that before, I wouldn't say before, because if you're a ghost hunter and you raise your vibration and you try to find the spirit, you're not going to find it. If you really wanted to find a ghost, what you'd have to do is lower your vibration considerably before you go to the haunted house. Okay, that's why ghost hunters never find the ghosts is usually because their vibration is too high. Like a true ghost hunter is excited about their work, and when they're in the now and they're excited, they have no ego. They're just doing what they're supposed to do as a ghost hunter. Well, I'm supposed to be a ghost hunter. Their vibration is quite high, and their frequency is a certain frequency, a high frequency. And lower vibrational entities, these negative entities that roam the astral, right? They're on low vibration, low frequency, right? Frequencies attract frequencies, right? Like attracts like. So do you think this high frequency is going to attract the low frequency? No, they can't overlap. The frequencies don't match. If you wanted to find a ghost, you need to be very dark yourself. You need to lower your vibration. You need to do things like watch horror, really gory stuff. Think evil thoughts. What evil, right? Think negative thoughts about yourself, about others, violent stuff, all this nasty, negative stuff. Get involved into it. Like watch it, do it, all that stuff. If you did that, your vibration would lower down. Then you go into the haunted house or haunted place, guaranteed you're going to find a ghost. Why? Because your frequencies are matching. Like attracts like. And you're going to have ghosts all around you. Probably get possessed by that spirit, right? So, but if you're going there with a positive energy, no negative spirits are going to be around you, because it's going to be like, whoa, you can't get near that positive energy. It's just going to not be there. Like it's going to flee, right? So that's why they never find it, So that's it. If any ghost hunters are watching, if you want to find a spirit, lower vibration, which you're not going to like. It's not fun. It's a yucky thing to do. But if you want to find it, lower vibration, go in there. You'll be possessed probably, and you'll find lots of things going on. They'll love you. They'll flock right to you. Probably hundreds of these spirits will find you. Right. So anytime this is the tilt, right? So anytime you're consuming or you create anything that's dark, that's negative energy, right? You want to always tilt back to positive, right? So if you watch a horror movie, if you read a horror book, writing, if you listen to the disturbing music and things like that, make sure right after that You cleanse yourself by raising your vibration back up, because believe it or not, even if you think you're just watching it, it's getting into your unconscious, and it's spinning around in there. So you want to cleanse it. So meditate, and raise your vibration. Watch positive things, listen to positive things, and meditate and try to be more mindful and do all those contemplative practices to raise your vibration, so that it can cleanse what you just did, which was the creation and consuming of the negative energies. So right. So always tilt your vibration back to positive after any negative energy creation work or consumption. Okay, that's the tilt. Always tilt back to positive. Okay, the last one of the last things I want to talk about here is the soul's age. How old are souls? Do souls have an age? So don't think about age necessarily in terms, because for us in this physical dual reality, we think things linearly, right? It's very linear, and so in this realm, we see age as a linear thing. It progresses linearly, right? From 1, 2, 3, 4, you get older and older and older. But in absolute reality, right, it's not linear. It's everything's at one point. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just all at one point. So the age of an individual soul, the age, air quotes, is measured by experience, not time. Right? Time is a part of this linear, this dual reality of linear progress. Right? So, and which is time is that way, progression. But in absolute reality, it's just about experience and choice, meaning that since there's no time, it's more about the choice and free will. So the more lifetimes and incarnations and experiences we have, right, as souls, the so-called older that soul is. So-called older, right? So if you have more incarnations on Earth, you're more experienced with being in the Earth realm, and that means, in a sense, you're older, than others that haven't experienced Earth as much, right? If you've been to Earth 1,000 times and some other souls has only been once, yeah, you're older in terms of experience, but not time. And so it's basically like there's some because everybody has their free will to choose. Every soul has their own free will to choose any experience they want, and some choose other ones, and some don't. I mean, it's up to you. Some have never incarnated on Earth, so they have no experience compared to you. They're learning from you. Some it's like just like some people, it's like you're going to different countries, different parts of the world. Some people have gone and traveled the whole world, some haven't, right? They have more experience than you, so in terms of experience, they're older than you. But there's no time there, right? So it's not really an age, right? Because you're eternal spirit. There's just souls that have more experience in certain areas, in certain realms than others. That's all. And we teach each other. And the ascended masters and so forth are just souls that have had more experience in certain realms than others, right? So maybe you go, maybe you're not an ascended master on Earth, but maybe you're an ascended master in other areas. You're an ascended master in other planets. That could be because maybe you had thousands of incarnations in some other planet. Maybe you're an ascended master over there, but not on Earth. So remember, ascended master doesn't mean you're ascended master in all of reality. It just means you're ascended master in a particular realm. I like to think of realms as games, right? It's like there's this one big game called absolute reality, and there's also these little mini games within absolute reality, and mini game Earth, mini game other planets and so forth. Right. So remember that the soul's age it's simply the number of experiences and types of experiences that give a soul its so-called age or vintage, right? All right, so that's the soul age. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit about what I believe that I've triangulated and correlated about the soul's endgame, right? And this is, I think, is what is going on here in terms of the soul's endgame. Like because as according to my understanding, the soul evolves, right? We're in these different learning centers, Earth and so forth, and everywhere really, to learn and understand about ourselves, right? Because being just wants to become, it just wants to expand, right? Love just wants to expand, it just wants to create, it just wants to try new things, to experience new things. Consciousness just wants to experience. It doesn't care why, right? That's the ego. It just wants to experience more and more and more and more and more. So that's what it does. That's existence just wants to exist. It just wants to become, right? So, but what's the end game to this? Like, so if you're a fragment of this and your soul just wants to evolve infinity, is there an end game? You know, and what does the end game look like? You know, because is there an end to infinity? No, but is there an end game to infinity? Yes. Think about that, because if you if infinity is forever, and you get to the end of forever, what does it look like? It means that it's like, imagine if you have 10 levels, and these 10 levels, and this whole thing is forever. You think, how does that make sense? I know it sounds like a paradox, right? To the ego mind, ego mind would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 through 10. Okay, that's finite. And but what if I said each one is infinite, right? Each number is infinite. Then you go, well, what does that even mean? Exactly. So you have 1 forever, 2 forever, 3 forever, 4 forever, right? And so forth. And then 10 forever. And this whole thing is a forever game. And you go, okay, so yeah, the finite exists inside of the infinite, right? This finite system, this linear system, it exists in the infinite, right? Because each one is infinite. So if you get to 10, right? You did infinite 1, you did infinite 2, and you got to infinite 10. Yeah, now you're on infinite 10. So you can progress for infinity in each one. So even if you got to the end game, the 10th level, that's still infinite. There's still infinite end games to do, right? Like, well, I finally got to the end game. Yeah, now you have infinite sets of the end, right? Even the end is infinite. And you go, well, I went from infinite 1 to 2. Can I go? How do I get from infinite 10 to 11? Well, what about resetting and going back to 1 again? Wouldn't that be a thing? Oh, well, I've tried. I've gotten beaten the whole game. Why don't I just delete my save point and start all over again? You go, you may you may think, well, why would I do that? That's not fun. Uh, Realize that the person who the thing, the entity that just said that's not fun, that's the ego. And the ego doesn't exist when you're at that level, especially not at that level. That's a very low vibration thing, right? The earth thing is this dual ego thing. When you're an eternal soul and you're at a high vibration, and you're especially in oldest, the highest vibration possible, and you're in absolute reality, you're not having the ego thoughts of, oh, that's gonna suck, right? Obviously, you can be like, that's awesome. Let's do it again. They're the best ride ever. I would love to be able. It's like, wouldn't you love to be able to enjoy your favorite food all over again? Like, you totally forgot it and you get to enjoy it all over again. It's like me, let's say I love coffee more than anything in the universe. First time having, oh my God, what is this magical thing? It's delicious. Oh my God, I love it. And then I get to go, but now if I have a second time, well, I've already tried it. So it's still good, but it's not like the first time, right? But what if you could do the first time over and over again ad infinitum, right? Forever, infinity. That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to experience everything all over again, right? So, right, it sounds impossible, but there's no such thing as impossibility in this absolute reality, right? You could do any possible configuration. That's infinity. So infinity does, right? These so-called paradoxes don't exist, right? So the end game here. Now that I built the kind of construct around the end game here, right? Since God, or this absolute reality, eternal reality, exists, right? What if? Okay, what if? This is my idea. So I've triangulated this concept from all of my writing and inspiration from absolute, and I feel like it's pointing towards is this: that that God created us, which God is reality itself, existence itself, created us souls so God could safely experience infinite realities. God created souls or compartmentalized fragments of itself that will slowly learn and grow forever, right? Um, learning different things. And once the soul is mature enough, it goes into God, right? Once you're matured enough, become responsible enough, you go get absorbed into God. It gets absorbed into God while letting you remain as a compartmentalized, unique soul within God. Meaning you don't get fully absorbed and you lose all identity, as a unique soul. It's impossible, right? But you, your soul would get absorbed into the God house, right? The God realm, which is existence itself. You're fully absorbed. And if you think back what I said before, right? When you're at the highest stages, when you become pure love and you keep expanding past all realms, right? To where you've beaten this game, this mini game, this mini game, and beating means you're expanding love. You've learned all the lessons. You're expanding, expanding, expanding. Until what if you've expanded so much that you're expanding to the all of existence itself? That's God, right? So that your soul is expanding and it's becoming absorbed into all of existence. It's expanding, connecting all energies. If existence was, make it simply 100 batteries, and each of the batteries until 100 is a different mini game like Earth and different planets. Once you beat one battery, meaning that you've experienced it, learned all your lessons, all the karmic debt, all that stuff is released, and you've learned to love and expand. Now you're expanding. So one battery is you're expanded over one battery of energy, and then you do the battery 2, and you expanded over that, learned all that, and you keep expanding forever until you reach 100, and that's all of existence. And you've expanded all your love over all of those batteries, and now you are, basically a soul that is existence, and the existence is your soul. Have expanded over that soul, over that space, so that all of existence. I hate to say space, but all of existence. You know, so you are still unique. It's just you've expanded yourself. It's like one person going like this, and then somebody comes inside of you and also does that, and we're all just hugging each other. But we're still individual, but we're all just hugging each other. So as we're all together, we're just one, existence itself. But each one of us is also, existence as well, all existence, basically God. So we are part of God and God at that point, the highest level of God. We are still fragments of God right now too, but we don't have the same energy levels as a soul that has gone through the entire process and become God with God and a God with God. That paradox, but not paradox, right? Right. So God existence fully integrates that soul into itself, right? God feeds itself spiritually that way, right? Sustains the positivity, sustains love, and all these souls together are, existence itself is learning about itself. Reality is learning about itself in a structured and unstructured way, right? It's through our eyes, learning through this so-called paradox. But in its eyes, it's learning in the perfect way. And now, right? So you could experience infinite realms, right, according to your frequency level, according to your vibration, right? And as you vibrate at a higher frequency, you'll be granted greater privileges simply based on your vibrational state. Okay? There is no authority over you, right? However, you must pass tests, okay? lessons, these tests and lessons, and prove yourself via these karmic cycles and learning before you can move up in vibration. Because remember that you are your own teacher, right? There's no entity that governs you. All entities, um, all entities are just fractal pieces or fragments of God. Right? You are the image of God. God is existence itself, standing in a hall of mirrors. Okay, And every reflection of God is a unique soul in that hall of mirrors, right? You and I are one such reflection. Each reflection simultaneously teaches and learns from itself via incarnations and through study and observation in base reality, right? Once you pass your own lessons, your life plan from your higher self and guides, you will naturally evolve, or move up in frequency, a higher vibrational existence. You will be expanding as love, greater and greater, expanding, connecting, including more energies of existence into your soul. You will have proved that you are responsible with such great power as you vibrate higher, and you will naturally have greater knowledge, power, abilities, and responsibilities in base reality and in incarnations. And this goes back to my time as an Egyptian god. I think it was an Egyptian like time, right? Because I have these memories of being at these are recent memories, by the way, right? Since I was cracked open in 2022, I've gotten these big major downloads of stuff, serious stuff. And it was like of memories of being a god in an Egyptian like time, but I abused my power, and I might be still paying it off, but I think I already paid it off, because I'm a light worker now, is what I believe. So I say that because I haven't gotten the information about, the link between am I a light work? Like, I got that information, but I didn't get any other information to say, okay, did I pay off the debt or not? I believe I did. I believe I did because I'm a light worker now. So, I don't think, I mean, I still could be paying off someone. I think I paid off enough debt that I can become a light worker, right? Because, or not. It's so hard to know because, like, one way you can think about it is that because I was a god, compared to human, standards, right? There's there were many other beings above me that that are higher levels of existence above me, but according to human standards, I was sort of like a god, and I did wrong, and I introduced a lot of negative energy, and I could have, you know, paid off that after that incarnation. I could have, I obviously went down in rank and vibration, and I could have paid it all off, or I paid enough off to where I could at least become a light worker in this realm, right? So I don't know if I paid it off or I'm still paying it off. But I abused my power. I turned into this, evil, this negative energy god, and I required worship to me. Um, uh, you know, um, and you think, well, how at that vibration, why would you do that? It sounds like a very ego thing to do. That's because I believe it was on Earth, right? On Earth, every being, no matter how high level you are, every being that comes to Earth is subject to duality, which is the structure, the construct of this realm. So no matter how powerful you are, if you are at some of the highest possible levels and you come to Earth, get ready, because you're not going to get everything wiped about what you really are, and you're just going to exist as your abilities, right? So come to Earth. It's if you were a god somewhere else, a super high vibration, came to Earth, you still have all your powers, but you don't have access to certain things certain things are blocked from you. And also you're subject to the ego. So even the gods have the duality mind, right? The spirit mind versus the ego mind of the physical reality. They're still subject to, trickeries and seduction of this dual physical realm, right? So yeah, gods in the earth realm, yeah, they can still get into trouble. Yeah. So that's why, it can happen to any entity that comes down here, right? Jesus or any ascended master can get into trouble too. It's very hard. It's very difficult to do good, even though you're a god or very high in vibration in this realm. Right. I required everybody to worship me. And all right, this story, this backstory came to me in an instant. It was immediate. Right. As soon as I was released, and Like, and it came to be an incident right after I was released from my prison. It was like a spiritual prison. I was somehow put in as a spiritual prison by other gods at the same time, at that time, but I managed to get released by my followers. And once I did, I wreaked havoc, right, on the world. I was just like, I wanted vengeance, right? I remember being such a fury. I could feel the vengeance of power. My body was weak while my spirit was in prison, but once I was released, I was strong again, right? And I further like dug my karmic debt hole, right? And I also remember the great feeling of being in the now, right? You have to remember that good and evil are not the best choice of words here, as I said before. There's no good and evil. I use evil. I say the word evil because it's the best way to convey a certain meaning in this realm. But from base reality, I was just disconnecting everything around me, right? I was creating fear, not love. I was spreading fear in a perfect state of now. Imagine that, right? Um, like I was disconnecting all beings from love in the now. You think, well, when you're in the now, I said before, you're in the now. Aren't you in love? Yeah, usually. However, there is since we're in duality in this realm, it does allow you to do evil in the now as well. Okay, you think how's that work? It does work. So a natural state of now doesn't mean that you won't disconnect. It just usually means that you're connecting because you're doing things out of your passion, right? Um, you think because why do we have serial killers? Well, some serial killers were here to be a serial killer. As weird as that sounds, that was part of their life plan, right? Um, um, and maybe some parts of that were up to them, but some of the milestones where they were supposed to do and to do some sort of negative thing, possibly so that they can learn from it, not so that they can disconnect, but so they can learn from it. Because some people play right the killer and victim. They can swap roles on different incarnations so they can learn from each other. There's no reason why you can't do that, right? Say, okay, this time I'm going to kill you. Next time you kill me. And souls can have that contract before you come in and say, because we want to both learn these lessons, together we'll learn these lessons. Like you kill me, I'll kill you, and then we can both learn the lesson. What do you think? Like, that sounds great. So you can have these things. So if you made that contract to learn about reality, to learn about these lessons, so you can evolve, then that's a positive thing, right? Because you're trying to evolve. Like it's negative. So like you have a contract with your soul friend. Okay, I'm going to kill you this round. I'm going to incur the debt, but then you kill me the next round, and the debt is, taken away. So you both get in the debt, but you do it together jointly, so that once you both kill each other, then the debt is nullified. You see, so there's that can happen too, to where you can balance the energies, right? Because you have to pay the debt back somehow, right? So you can have a contract where you both kind of get in the debt and you both pay it off at the same time. That can happen as well, right? So you could be and so this I say that so that you understand that you can be spreading fear in a perfect state of now. It's possible. Not I'd say it's more common to spread love in the now, right? Because you're connected with source. But sometimes you can spread fear in the now because it's part of something you're trying to learn. Learn how do I spread fear in the state of now, right? It's possible. It's duality. So I was creating fear, not love, right? I was spreading this fear in the state of now. I was disconnecting all beings around me from love in the now, right? I was in the zone. I was fear in the zone, fear in the flow state. I was in this drunken state, digging myself further into debt, right? Like a drunkard racking up, drunkard racking up a bill, just at a bar, and and that I would spend lifetimes repaying, right? This drunkard just going to a bar and just buying all these drinks for himself and everybody else, getting super drunk, making bad decisions, spreading negative energy, and then and I wake up the next day, oh, I got a bill to pay, and I gotta pay it back. What was I doing, right? You know, so I have lived thousands of lifetimes on this earth alone, not counting my lifetimes on other planets, which I also remember, which I'll talk about later. Which is be cool because I haven't really seen much of that on YouTube or online or anything like that about people's lives on other planets and people's lives with different abilities. And like I'm saying, I have this is one such example. I have experiences of being a god. I also have experience of have other powers on other planets and different types of planets, which I'll talk about, and I'll talk about the different planets that I've been to and had incarnations on. Right, and but those incarnations happened before this time as an Egyptian god, right? So I had all this power before the Egyptian god time, and then it's like I had all these incarnations. I was at high vibration, all these different planets. I said, and I was at a high vibration. I said, I want to try Earth out, and then I went to Earth, and I really and since I had all this high vibration, when I went to Earth, I couldn't handle it. Actually, I had all came there as a god because I was already at a high vibration from getting all this energy from other incarnations at other planets, easier planets, right? Like over eons, I gained all this positive energy. Went to Earth, and you're subject to the ego and the construct of duality. But I was a god since I have all that high vibration, and I just couldn't swing it, and I just and I went into debt. But I paid most of it off, or all of it off. But I'm doing good. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So, but yeah, those stories are for another time. The incarnations of other planets. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you got something out of it. I'm just happy to share all this information, share my experiences. I love you all, and I'll see you at next stream.